Remember our last class we were explaining that a sinner that is hiding under other to justify his sin. You know, someone will say, Allah had already written that I will commit so and so sin, isn't it? So why should I be censored for the sins that I've committed, of which I have no any power over? Maybe you can share now. I don't know if you're certain. Should you share the one you have or? No, all right. Do you understand? That then we gave reasons as to why it is impossible for someone to hide under the premise of Qadar to justify his disobedience to the orders of Allah. We said, why shouldn't he equally use Qadar to do righteous deeds and use that as basis for justification? You had a choice to do good and evil, and when you choose to do evil, now you're justifying it using Qadar. You should have, you could have chosen good, and now you use Qadar to justify, and that would have been a worthy justification, isn't it? Okay, I hope we understood the explanation there. Now, وَنُؤْمِنُ بِأَنَّ الشَّرَّ, that we believe that verily evil لَا يُنْسَبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. You do not attribute evil to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't attribute evil to Allah. Do you understand? You can't attribute evil to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La yunsab, you know, from nasab, isn't it? That's when you can't relate evil to Allah. That is say, you know, the nasab leadership. You understand the house has borrowed a lot of words from Arabic, isn't it? So now the nasab, that is a relationship, isn't it? La ansaba lahum. There is not going to be any relationship between them on Yom Al-Qiyamah. They're not going to say, this is my dad, or this is my mom, so I'm willing to enter hellfire for the sake of my mom. Allah said that will not exist, isn't it? So, ansab. So, la yunsab ila Allah ta'ala li kamali rahmatihi wa hikmatihi. Learn something here. Why is it that it is impossible to attribute evil to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why? The answer is li kamali rahmatihi wa hikmatihi, because of the perfection, isn't it, of his mercy and wisdom. Am I communicating? Because of the perfection of the mercy and the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is impossible to attribute evil to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it is inconsistent with what? With perfect mercy and perfect wisdom that there should be evil. Evil comes when there is lack of mercy and there is lack of wisdom. If you are wise, you will not disobey Allah. Isn't it? You will not bring evil upon yourself, because we learn from various verses of the Quran that whatever befalls us of evil is because of what we have done. But that wouldn't even have happened if Allah hadn't decreed it. So because it is inconceivable again for anything to happen without the decree of Allah. And that is why you said you have to believe in Qadar, the good consequences of it and the evil consequences of it, because even the evil that is happening is it cannot happen without the leave of Allah. Allah must have. Do you understand? That is how to, you know, break it down to understand it without going into the path of deviation. So, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, now this is to buttress the fact that you cannot attribute evil to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, وَالشَّرُّ لَيْسَ إِلَيْكَ, and evil is not ascribed to you. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم is telling us, and this hadith is in Sahih Muslim, hadith number 771. Hadith number 771. Muslim. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Washar laysa ilayk." You cannot attribute evil to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and evil is not attributed to you. So you cannot say, "Oh God, why me?" I hope I'm making sense here. Now, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was introducing Allah to his people, what did he say? وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِي. And he said, وَالَّذِي هُوَ يُمِيتُنِي. Every other thing he attributed to Allah, but when it came to sickness, he said, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ. When I fall sick, it is Allah that cures me. He didn't say when Allah makes me to fall sick. He said when I fall sick, but every other thing, he said Allah is the one that guides me. Allah is the one that provides for me. Allah is the one that does this for me. Allah is the one that does that for me. But when it came to sickness, because he cannot attribute that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لِكَمَالِ رَحْمَتِهِ وَحِكْمَتِهِ, because of his perfect mercy. Allah is so merciful. And you can't attribute it. And even when things are happening to you of sickness, like Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam made reference to, or calamities befalling you of you losing your loved ones or businesses, you becoming bankrupt. It is evil in one side, isn't it? As you can see, the consequences of it, but it has is good on the other side. There isn't such thing as perfect evil, 100%. Ibn Taymiyyah in Majmul Fatawa, he explained this, and even Ibn Qayyim, they try to explain the wisdom behind the creation of insects, like scorpions, like calamities befalling you, like even the creation of Iblis himself, there is good in it. Why? Because in the creation of Iblis, people strive to go against the whispering of Satan. If there was no Satan, you wouldn't have had any cause to strive against anything. So you're striving against the temptation that have been, that the Satan beguiles for you. You're striving against such temptations, makes you a better Muslim, isn't it? So the existence of Iblis has its own good side, because you strive against this whispering. If there was no striving against the whispering of Satan, there wouldn't have been a pious individual in this world. All right. Do you understand? There wouldn't share what he has said, because he's still. There wouldn't have been what? There wouldn't have been a pious individual. You are better than me because you didn't succumb to the whispering of Satan. Maybe I did succumb, but you didn't. So you are better than me. But what makes the difference? The ability to withstand your the pressure that comes from the whispering of Satan, not to succumb to it. The other person falls, the other person resists. So the existence of Satan. So I'm just trying to explain that even when evil does happen, there is good side to it, as we're going to see from, inshallah, the explanation. لقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, because the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, والشر ليس إليه. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, evil is not attributed to you. Raw Muslim. فنفس قضاء الله تعالى ليس فيه شر أبدا. ليس فيه شر أبدا. The decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no evil in and out of the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you understand? Whatever Allah has decreed in and of itself is not evil. Am I communicating? It's not evil. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed in and on itself, yani, that is why we say فَنَفْسُ قَضَاءَ اللَّهِ. Whatever Allah has decreed in and on itself is not what? It's not evil. لَيْسَ فِيهِ شَرٌ أَبَدًا. There is no evil in it forever and ever. You will never find evil in the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there are consequences of it, isn't it? Now Sheikh said, لأنه صادرا عن رحمة وحكمة. Why is it that there is no evil in what Allah has decreed? لأنه صادرا عن رحمة وحكمة. Because it emanates from what? From His mercy and wisdom. does it befit the merciful and the most wise to decree evil in and on itself? So it can only be a consequence of something. What Allah has decreed is that when you commit sin, evil befalls you. Does this make sense? What Allah has decreed, the consequences of our actions. Sins begets what? Evil. So when you commit sins, then Allah has decreed that if there are sins, then the consequences of it is what? Evil. Does this make sense? It has to make sense because it's the Aqeedah. It's not my statement, isn't it? It has to make sense. There is no any juristic effort here. Now, وَإِنَّمَا يَكُونُ الشَّرْ فِي مُقْتَضَيَاتِهِ وَإِنَّمَا, mark the word, إِنَّمَا. In Arabic language, إِنَّمَا is what? Only. Evil may be only as a consequence of what? Of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed. And what has Allah decreed? If you commit evil, if you commit sins, evil will appear. So, evil is only a consequence of what Allah has decreed. That if you do it, evil will appear. So if you commit sin, there's going to be evil appearing. Am I making sense here? Okay, I'll stop asking this question of making sense when we're doing Aqeedah. Now, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam again, لقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في دعاء القنوت, in the supplication of al-qunut, الذي علمه الحسن, when the Prophet was teaching his grandson Al-Hasan bin Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhu ajma'in. When the Prophet was teaching him, he said, وَقِنِي شَرَّ مَا قَضَيْتِ أَلَيْسَ كَذَلِكَ, and save us from the evil of what you have decreed. The evil of what you have decreed. What has Allah decreed here? Do you understand? When you commit sin, evil appears. So may Allah save us from the evil of what He has decreed. That we should not fall into committing sins that will even lead to us facing calamities. So from this statement of the Prophet ﷺ, the dua of Al-Qunut that he thought his grandson Al-Hasan, we understand that evil is as a result of the consequences of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed. Now, this other hadith is Sahih. Abu Dawud has narrated the hadith in the Sunan, hadith number 1465. 1465 in the Sunan of Abu Dawud. Imam al-Tirmidhi narrated the hadith also in his Sunan, hadith number 464. Imam al-Nasa'i also narrated it in his Sunan, hadith number 1745, while Ibn Majah also, and Sheikh Nasruddin al-Albani has authenticated the hadith in al-Irwa al-Ghalil, يعني إرواء الغليل في إرواء الغليل في الإرواء الغليل والمشكات المصابيح, hadith number 429 in إرواء الغليل. The Prophet Sheikh Nasruddin al-Albani has authenticated the hadith, which means the hadith is authentic. أليس كذلك؟ وَقِنِي شَرَّ مَا قَضَيْتِ. And we should also pray to Allah using this dua, isn't it? Because it's the best of dua from the Prophet. وَقِنِي شَرَّ مَا قَضَيْتِ. Ya Allah, save us from the evil of what you have decreed. فَأَضَافَ الشَّرِّ إِلَى مَا قَضَاءُ. Now, evil has been attributed to what Allah has decreed, but not to Allah. Look at the beauty, the statement. Like we said, Ibrahim alayhi salam, now the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He has attributed evil to what Allah has decreed, but not to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't attribute evil to Allah. And that is where the non-Muslims and even some Muslims now will start questioning Allah if things are happening in their lives. And you see, because it's common amongst the non-Muslims, God, why me? Why not you then? You understand? You said, why me? And Why not you? There is good in what is happening to you. There is good in what is happening to you. If the Prophet faced a lot of, trials in his life, calamities, trials, tribulations, the likes of none of us will ever face, then we know that there is good. For a believer to go through whatever is going through, then there is good in it, isn't it? Because all the companions and the Prophet ﷺ told us that, I've forgotten the beginning of the hadith, ya Sheikh. The hadith that says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test أشد الناس
بلاء الأنبياء
أشد الناس هو
بلاء الأنبياء.
Al-Anbiya. The people that are most tested by Allah are the prophets. Allah tests them psychologically, physically, financially, whatever need they were tested, isn't it?
Yes.
Because the Prophet said they are the most at the receiving end when it comes to test. Then who follows suit? ثم الذين ثم الصالح
ثم الأمثل
الصالحون
وفي رواية نعم ثم الصالحين
ثم الصالحين. Then the pious people, the prophets, then those that are pious, Allah tests them. Do you know the pious people that are tested? Those pious people that when they are tested, they say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. They do not lose their contact with Allah. Then it is a positive thing to them, which means they are able to carry it, and that is why they are being tested. Because for someone that, if someone goes through that, he loses his cool. He stops worshiping Allah. He starts questioning Allah. But if you are tested and you're still bonding with Allah and you're not questioning Allah, then count yourself amongst the blessed ones.
مثل عمر الحمد لله الذي جعل قتلي ليس في يد مسلم.
When Umar was assassinated, look at the beauty of Umar. You're guilty of introducing Umar to this particular Aqeedah class now. If I deviate, you're culpable. When Umar was stabbed, subhanallah, Umar bin Khattab, radiallahu anhu, the just Umar. When Umar was stabbed, I can't help it, goosebumps and everything now. I can't just help it. Umar bin Khattab has been mentioned. When Umar was stabbed, and it was said that Umar said, Ibn Abbas, go out there and get the information of the person that is responsible for my stabbing. And Ibn Abbas, Umar was fond of Ibn Abbas. He was a young lad, intelligent. Umar moved with intelligent people. Ibn Abbas was a young lad, but Umar was fond of Ibn Abbas. Very, very fond of Ibn Abbas. He was always with Ibn Abbas because of his knowledge and insight that Allah has given to him. Umar sent Ibn Abbas, go out there. Ibn Abbas sought for the information with regards to the person, Abu Lu'lu al-Majusi, that stabbed Umar bin Khattab. When he came back, it was said that he said to Umar bin Khattab, I only see people sobbing profusely. People were just crying. All the nooks and crannies of Medina, the old, the young, men, women and children, everyone was crying, Umar, 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 Umar. What was the love they had for Umar bin Khattab? That the entire Medina was inundated with tears of sorrow because Umar was the miser. Now he told Umar that was not the gist Umar wanted. They were not hankering for self-pity or self-praise. No, Umar was not after that. The concern of Umar was, who was he? And he said, the person that stabbed you is the freed slave of Al-Mughira bin Shu'bah, who disguised as a Muslim, but inwardly was a non-Muslim. So he was declared as a Muslim, but he was a kafir, a Jew. And he came into Medina and stabbed Umar. He found himself in the first row and stabbed Umar. And Umar, when Umar was stabbed, you are guilty. When Umar was stabbed, I have to start smiling because I remember there was a time I was delivering 5 years ago. I was talking about Umar And I had to leave the lecture hall because I was just crying like a baby. And I had to leave and go to the backstage. And I had to ask them to delete that part in the video. Wallahi, I had to leave the stage and literally go to the back room because I couldn't help it. I was just, you could hear me crying if you're downstairs. Now Omar so now have to start smiling. When Omar was stabbed, Omar lost his consciousness. And when Omar gained consciousness, Omar said, Hal salla al-Muslimin al-Fajr? Did the believers complete their Fajr Salah? I hope they were not carried away by what happened to me. They did complete their Fajr Salah. That was the first question that came out from the mouth of Umar. Did the believers complete their Fajr Salah? Subhanallah. Yes, he got it from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When Prophet was about to die, the last statements that were coming from the mouth, the blessed mouth of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was As-salah wa ma malakat aymanukum. Prayers and those that are below you. Take care of the salah and take care of those that are below you. Do not be unjust to them. And the Prophet was talking about women. Fear Allah with regards to women. Umar learned from the best. And Umar was saying, Hal salla al-Muslimin al-Fajr? Did the believers complete their Fajr Salah? And now, Umar bin Khattab, again, radiallahu anhu. Umar sent to Aisha radiallahu anha in Hayat al-Sahaba. There are a lot of narrations there that are not authentic. That Umar sent to Aisha radiallahu anha. He sent his son, Abdullah bin Umar. Tell Aisha radiallahu anha that I, Umar bin Khattab, it's my desire to be buried next to my close friends, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are buried in your room, so it's your personal prerogative to decide who comes next, because it's your room, Aisha radiallahu anha. So Umar said, and it was at the moment when Umar was being administered medication, milk, and the medication, when he takes it, it comes out from his intestine. That was Umar. So you think if this was not good, Allah will allow Umar to go through this? You think if we're talking about calamities befalling us. You think if this was not good, Allah will allow Umar to go through this? And it was said when Umar takes medication, it comes out from his intestine. And Umar knew he was going. That was when he constituted the Shura. At that critical moment, who is going to be the next leader? And when that happened, Umar sent Abdullah bin Umar to knock at the doors of Aisha radiallahu anha to seek for the permission that he, Umar bin Khattab, wishes to be buried next to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr. Aisha radiallahu anha, it was said that she said, it has been a dominant aspiration to be buried next to her husband and her father. But Umar is that individual for whom all preferences must be given. There is nothing that Umar will ask for that will be denied. It's Umar bin Khattab. She said, Umar is that individual for whom all preferences must be given. Marhaba. Welcome the Amir of the believer. And it was said, when Umar sent Abdullah bin Umar, he said to him, come, don't say to Aisha radiallahu anha, Amir al-Mu'minin, because from today, I've ceased to become the leader of the faithful. Because I'm going. The strength is not there again. Tell her, Umar bin Khattab. And when he came back and told Umar, Zaradin,
I'm sure they're enjoying it.
And when he came back and told Umar bin Khattab, radiallahu anhu, that Aisha radiallahu anha had agreed to that, Umar said, you know, it was said that the last moment the head of Umar was on the lap of his son, Abdullah. And Umar said, lift up my head and put it on the ground. I'm nobody. He said, Waylun laka ya Umar, illam yaghfir rabbak. He said, woe to you, Umar bin Khattab, if your Lord does not forgive you. This was the parting words of Umar. Umar was, woe unto you, Umar, kai asara, and Allah may gafarta maka ba. Umar bin Khattab. Umar bin Khattab that was informed before now that he's going to paradise. Yet he didn't take it upon himself that he's a paradise, it's a Jannati. He's still hoping that Allah will admit him to paradise. And when Umar was parting, Umar said to his son, if I'm gone, don't just rush into burying me in the house of Aisha. Perhaps I was alive. So she felt the heaviness of denying me my request. Now that I'm dead, I'm no longer alive. Don't rush if I die. Still knock at our doors and seek for the permission second time. If she consented, bury me next to my comrades. If she denies, take me to Jannat al-Baqi, where the general Muslim masses are buried. So Umar went through this. Umar bin Khattab, radiallahu anhu. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our love for the Sahaba. You know, if you love the Sahaba, it's a mark of Iman. The Prophet said it, isn't it? Khatib al-Baghdadi in Tarikh al-Baghdad, he narrated the narration, he brought the narration. A believer does not hate Umar, Abu Bakr and Umar. A munafiq does not love them. A munafiq hates them. Such was the quality of the Iman of Umar. And one of the scholars said, whenever he visits Medina, and the love he has for Umar, you said, Ya Allah, what was the Iman of Umar that you have put the love of Umar in my heart like this? What quality, what was the level of Iman of Umar bin Khattab? Umar Fah, the strongest in Jahiliyyah, he became the softest by the softness of Iman. You know, when Iman enters into the heart of someone, it changes it. When Umar went to attack Sa'id bin Zayd, and his sister Fatima bint al-Khattab, when the information came to him that they had accepted Islam, Umar went, he was very furious. On reaching, they were reciting for her, isn't it? Umar had the beautiful recitation of the Quran. It melted the heart of Umar. It melted the heart of Umar. And on the other side, Fatima was not afraid of Umar. She knew who Umar was. But at that moment that Iman entered into her heart, she was not afraid of Umar. You are not going to touch the Quran because you are impure. She wasn't afraid of Umar. Because Iman had entered into the recesses of her heart. Fatima bint Khattab, the sister of Umar. That is what Iman does. It creates bravery in your heart. Braveness, you become brave. And also softness. What a combination. It softens your heart and it makes you to be brave. So that is that for Umar bin Khattab. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him. فأضاف الشر إلى ما قضاه ومع هذا فإن الشر في المقتضيات ليس شرا خالصا محضا. And upon that, evil in his decree is not pure evil. Evil in the decree of Allah is not pure evil. Rather, it is evil from one angle and good from another. بل هو شر في محله من وجه. أليس كذلك؟ خير من وجه. It is evil from one perspective and good from another angle. If you look at it critically. Yes. They said the prison introduces man to himself, isn't it? The type of punishment that you go through. It offers redemption. Yeah, I'm quoting a quote from one of my favorite movies, isn't it? It introduces one to what? To himself. That is when you know that sometimes when Allah tests you, and the test is positive on your side, it introduces you to Allah. Then you become more, bonded with Allah. It makes you to be more conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then what do you get of that at the end of the day? Positivity. Ahmad al-Tawil. I gave the story of Ahmad in Riyadh that committed zina once in his life. And that zina that he committed once in his life some maybe a few decades ago, 20 years ago thereafter, in Riyadh, that he went to Syria. He had never committed zina before. His friends introduced him to that. He committed zina. He came back crying throughout his life. His wife never knew about it, but she only noticed that something has changed in his life until after he has died. That was when this sheikh that knew of what happened to him, because he met him in Syria, and asked him, "Why are you crying?" Because he saw him crying at the airport. He said, "I've committed zina, I've committed zina." And he said, no, Allah will forgive you. Seek for Allah's repentance, Allah will forgive you. He said, "No, I want to go to the Saudi authorities so that they can stone me to death. And that is when I'll be at rest." He said, it's a long story, but at the end of the day, that led him to memorizing Quran. That led him to be observing some of Prophet Dawood. He will perform some, he will observe some today, tomorrow, alternate days, every other day. Because of one sinner, he felt he has lost everything. He needed to bring himself back on track. He needed Allah's pleasure. One sinner, he memorized the Quran. And the last moment in the life of this Ahmed, he what? He observed some on that day. They prayed in the masjid with his father. The Imam was not there, he led in the salah. They were in their house with his younger brother and the family. They were about to break their fast. And Ahmed was not there. Then the father sent for him. The younger one came to the masjid. He saw him lying as if he was dying. And indeed he was dying. And the younger one came back and told his father, "Ya abati, akhi Ahmad la yukallimuni." "Oh my father, my brother Ahmad is not talking to me." And they went and they had him reciting, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَدْعُونَ مَعَ اللَّهِ إِلَهًا آخَرَ وَلَا يَقْتُلُونَ النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَلَا يَزْنُونَ وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ يَلْقَى أَثَامًا يُضَاعَفْ لَهُ الْعَذَابُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَيَخْلُدْ فِيهِ مُهَانًا إِلَّا مَنْ تَابَ وَآمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَأُولَئِكَ. They had him reciting this verse. This was the verse that introduced him to the mercy of Allah. Allah said, "Those that do not associate partners with Allah, nor do they kill a soul unjustly, nor do they commit zina. Whoever does any of these three, shirk, killing of an innocent soul, and committing zina, yalqa athama." Allah said, "We are going to double the punishment for that person. He's going to meet a severe punishment. Yudha'af lahu al-'adhab yawm al-qiyamah." The punishment is going to be doubled for that person yawm al-qiyamah. Then Allah said, "Illa man taba," except the one that repents from shirk, from killing an innocent person, from zina. You have repented. Then Allah said, "We are going to turn your evil deeds to good." The zina you committed now, the sin is going to be recorded as good deed. Quran chapter 25, the second to the last page, or the last page. I've forgotten the verse number. Now he was reciting this verse, and that was the end of the life of Ahmad. But he told his father, "Extend my greetings to Sheikh Ahmad." And he gave them his contact, because he was the one that told him, recite these verses of the Quran. You don't have to turn yourself up to the Saudi authorities. You can repent and Allah will forgive you. Now what I'm saying is, look at one sin has introduced this person to this status in life. He died after fasting, reciting the Quran. Now, when the sheikh came in the morning to his house, he said he saw a palatial home, obviously from a very wealthy Saudi family. Look at the type of enjoyment he's exposed to. But look at what one sin had led him to, perhaps the only person in the family that had memorized Quran. And the father told this sheikh that he mentioned your name. And he said, "Salam to you." And he entered into the room. He had scent, and he saw a smile on his face. This happened a few decades ago in Saudi. And that is what happens when calamities befall. Allah has, willed them. Now, because of what we have thought, but they are also a good thing if a believer look. That is why the Prophet ﷺ said, who can give us the hadith again? Ajaba
عجبا لأمر المؤمنين.
It is, there is, you know, it's so, the affair of the believer is very, very amazing. When good happens to him, it's good. When evil comes to him, it's good. On each occasion, he bonds with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's never lost. A believer is never lost. When good comes, alhamdulillah. When evil comes, alhamdulillah. Ala kulli hal. Allah is aware. Nothing happens to you without the knowledge of Allah. And if you trust in Allah, then Allah will find a way out for you. Just trust in Allah. Just trust in Allah.
And that's a gauge for you to know whether you are a mu'min.
Exactly. Because it is the believers that when evil touches them, they turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, now let's continue. We're going to finish now. فَإِنَّ الشَّرَّ فِي الْمُقْتَضَيَاتِ لَيْسَ شَرًّا خَالِصًا مَحْضًا بل هو شر في محله من وجه خير من وجه أو شر في محله خير في محل آخر. Whichever way you look at it, evil on one aspect, from another perspective it is good. فَالْفَسَادُ فِي الْأَرْضِ, calamities that befall on the face of earth, like poverty, like earthquake, like floods and hurricanes and bombs, insecurity, you know, in yourselves and in the entire society, all the evils that happen to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and فَالْفَسَادُ فِي الْأَرْضِ مِنَ الْجَدْبِ, famine, وَالْمَرَض, sickness, وَالْفَقْرِ, poverty, وَالْخَوْفِ, and fear, شَرٌ, wallahi, they are all evil. Aren't they evil? Sickness. Al-Jadbi, famine. Wal-Faqr, poverty. All these are evil. لكنه خير في محل آخر. But wallahi, all of these things are good if you look at them from another perspective. Poverty is good if you look at it from another perspective. We are not promoting poverty. But I'm just saying that if you are tested with poverty, don't lose your cool. It's good for you at that particular moment. At that particular moment, that is what is best for you if you're a believer. If Allah had given you wealth at that particular moment that you're suffering from poverty, you would have bought the ticket to hellfire. And when you are suffering from sickness, if Allah had given you full health, that would have been a means for you to go to hell. But at that particular moment, Allah has offered you a ticket for Jannah if only you understand. So, khayrun. Hence Allah said, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. Corruption has appeared throughout the land and sea because of what men's hands have earned, that Allah may make them taste part of the consequence of what they have done. See the evil, part of the consequence. So it's not the evil that Allah has brought to you, it's a consequence of what we have done. Allah has not created it. Allah has not, you know, it is not attributed to Allah. But it's a consequence of what we have done. But even at that, Allah said, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ, perhaps they will return to Allah by seeking for Allah's forgiveness. That is the good side of it. So you were oblivious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then something happens to you. Look at Yusuf Islam. He was about to be drunk, isn't he? Then he made a covenant. Wasn't he the one that made such a covenant that if Allah saves him, he's going to serve Allah? That was the genesis. Allah saved him from being drunk and he became a Muslim. The famous cat Stephen. So sometimes when things happen to you, look at the positive side of it. Urwa bin Zubair. Let me read the last part of this. وَقَتُوَ يَدِ السَّارِقِ, and the cutting of the hand of the thief. وَرَجْمُ الزَّانِي, and the stoning of the adulterer and the adulteress. You cut off the hand of a thief, you stone the adulterer and the adulteress to death. وَرَجْمُ الزَّانِي شَرٌّ بِالنِّسْبَةِ لِلسَّارِقِ وَالزَّانِي. When you attribute it to the thief and the adulterer, it is evil, isn't it? You are being stoned to death, your hands are cut off. That is shar. في قتل اليد وإزهاق النفس, and the taking of life, isn't it? لكنه, what is the good side of it? We said everything has the good side and evil, isn't it? Then what is the good side of someone being stoned to death? What is the good side of someone's hand being cut off? What good can you get from it? What good can you deduce from someone being stoned to death? Listen to the good. لكنه خير لهما, it is good for them. Wallah, it is good for them. من وجه آخر, when you look at it from another perspective. What perspective? حيث يكون كفارة لهما, it is an expiation for them. فلا يجمع لهما بين عقوبتي الدنيا والآخرة. Allah will never ask them of that zina they committed again. Once they are stoned to death, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, it is as if they have not committed zina. Allah will not put them to task regarding zina again. That was why the woman that committed zina and came to the Prophet ﷺ and was stoned to death. And one of the companions said, when the blood splashed and it made a statement that was not in favor of the woman, the Prophet ﷺ said, no, don't make such statements. This woman has made a repentance. Wallahi, if it was shared amongst, is it 7 people or 70 residents of Medina, wallahi, the repentance would have sufficed them. The woman that committed zina, the Prophet says she has made such a pure, what? Repentance, that if it was shared amongst the inhabitants of Medina, 70 of them, it would have sufficed them, which means she's going to Jannah. She's going to Jannah. And that is what we need to understand. That. And for the one, حيث إن فيه حماية الأموال والأعراض والأنصاب. It's a protection. When you see someone's hand being cut off, will you steal? If you see someone's hand being cut off and is moving on the street and you know that it was because of theft, will you steal another person's property? So when someone's hand is cut off, it offers protection for the property of others. When someone is stoned to death, it offers protection to the honor of people, because when you commit zina, you have desecrated the honor that Allah has given to you. Zina attacks the integrity and honor of the one that commits it. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ said, and the one that commits zina is not a believer while he's committing zina. So the fear is, if Allah takes your soul while you're committing zina, the fear is that Iman has left your body. So inshallah, we're going to stop here. Whatever we have said that is consistent with the truth, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from us. Where we have made mistakes, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. Now, wa alaikum salam.
You mentioned about the Surah to Room and God of Hazard very well. Can you please explain the art of Hazard very well?
Okay, Bar al-Fasad fil Barri wal Bahr, that evil has appeared on land and on sea.
Yeah, especially the sea parts.
Okay, for example, now you see earthquakes happening, tornadoes and hurricanes happening. You see flood. You see this submarine, atomic bomb, submarine, missiles. Do you understand? You see a lot of evil. Animals are dying, isn't it? Animals are dying. Ecosystem is being. Look at all these things that are happening to us, and the tidal waves and all these things that are happening is because of what we have done with our hands, isn't it? Earthquakes, famine, sickness, all these things that are happening is as a result of what? Allah destroys people using water, Allah destroys people using wind, Allah destroys people in so many, and it's as a result of what our hands have earned. Amazingly, even when Allah does punish, يُبْعَثُ كُلُّ عَلَى نِيَّتِهِ. The Prophet ﷺ said in that hadith that people are going to be, earthquake is going to swallow a group of people that will go in order to attack Kaaba. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she was very intelligent. When the Prophet ﷺ said an army is going to set out from Yemen to attack Kaaba, and Allah is going to destroy all of them, the first of them and the last of them, the earthquake is going to swallow them. Aisha radiallahu anha, very intelligent, she said, Ya Rasulullah, how is that going to happen? وَفِيهِمْ أَسْوَاقُهُمْ There are businessmen amongst them that do not have the intention of destroying Kaaba. And you have people that are with them, Malaysa minhum. They didn't come with the intention of destroying Kaaba. Why will Allah destroy all of them? The good and the bad. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah will destroy the first and the last of them. He repeated the statement. All of them Allah will destroy. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, each one of them is going to be resurrected according to his intention. But in this world, you're going to suffer the same calamity with the evil people. That is why you have to stop evil if you see it. Because when the punishment comes, it's... So I hope that منكم خاصة
كما قال عمر ما نزل البلاء إلا بذنب وما رفع إلا
بمغفرة بتوبة. There is no evil that befalls on you, the statement of Umar that he referenced, except as a result of sin. And nothing will lift that calamity except repentance. So when we bond with Allah, inshallah we'll find a way out of every difficulty. So we do not attribute evil to Allah. That is the lesson of today. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.